I'm pretty sure by now you have heard the story of a man who was born to a American soldier and a African mother. He was born in Germany on a US military base while his father was serving in the United States of America military, and he was sent somewhere he had never been before under the Trump administration. We're going to get into the update of where that guy is and the suspicious activities surrounding what's going on with him now. This is the update video. Welcome back to SouFLoTV again, everybody. This is your host with the most. So, Jermaine Thomas. Jermaine Thomas is the son of a U.S. veteran, and he was deported to Jamaica in June of 2025, despite never having been to Jamaica a day in his life. I know a lot of people are like, how the hell did this happen? More people are like, how come this only happens to black people? He has been sent to a place. Well, not only black people. We've seen it happen to black and brown people. We haven't seen any Caucasian people being sent to countries they're not from. They're not dropping any Caucasians off in Ghana. They're not dropping any Caucasians off in Eswatini. They're not dropping any Caucasians off in El Salvador or anywhere else, right? Or even in Jamaica. So Jermaine's dad was in the U.S. military. And a lot of people jumped in the comment section to say, well, if his dad wasn't a U.S. citizen at the time of his birth, then, you know, the U.S. doesn't own him, and he is officially a citizen of wherever his dad comes from. Let me make it very clear. According to the record, his father was a U.S. citizen, naturalized. His father was from Jamaica, but his father was a naturalized U.S. citizen. His father also served a full military career. I believe medically discharged after 18, 19 years of service. That's like 1 year away from 20 years before you pack it up on full retirement, right? And his father passed away not too long ago from some illness. I believe it was cancer. Now, why, if his father was alive, would they have done this to his son? Or would his father, being alive and being able to be vocal in front of news media cameras and to advocate for his son, would they have handled that differently? So the deportation has left Jermaine Thomas stateless, as he is not a citizen of the United States of America. He is not a citizen of Germany, where he was born, and he is not a citizen of his mother's country. He is not a citizen of Jamaica. Isn't that crazy? Born in Germany, but does not qualify for citizenship because you were born on a U.S. military base where your father was the active duty soldier stationed there. Now, I served in this military, and as far as I know, when your child is born on a U.S. military base, wherever you're stationed, that military base is considered a part of the United States of America and U.S. property. Therefore, the child takes the U.S. citizenship. There might be some paperwork you have to fill out, but I'm pretty sure that that's how it works. So the background now, Jermaine Thomas was born in 1986 on that U.S. military base in Germany, where his father served in the U.S. Army. His father was a Jamaican-born immigrant who became a naturalized U.S. citizen. His father also raised him. So throughout the years that Jermaine was growing up with his dad, Jermaine was a military brat, a U.S. military brat. When we say military brat, we don't talk about brat as in you are a brat, you are a bad child. We mean military children. That means when your parent who is active duty goes from duty station to duty station, it's called PCSing. Go to a different duty station, you take your family with you. If you're a soldier with a wife and children, you take your wife and children with you. You set up camp at your new duty station and you work from there. If you are to deploy overseas on missions, you will leave your family there and you will deploy overseas. When you come back home, that is your base to work and train from that. That is how Jermaine Thomas grew up. He grew up on multiple military bases after he was born in Germany. I'm talking about moving back stateside, his dad did, and then he grew up on multiple military bases in the US. Now, after his parents divorced, Jermaine moved to the US and spent most of his life in Florida, in Virginia, and in Texas. There was no problem then. He was a US citizen, or so he thought. Now, his case involves legal technicality regarding the citizenship law in effect at the time of his birth. So although his father was a US citizen, he himself did not meet the specific requirements of having lived in the US for 10 years before his birth, making him ineligible for automatic citizenship. That's crazy. There's a loophole in the law that they found, and they used it to get rid of Jermaine Thomas. Let me say that again, because a lot of people are wondering, how did this happen to this man? How did he become stateless? Although his dad was a US citizen, his dad did not meet the specific requirements of having lived in the US for 10 years before his son was born, making his son ineligible for automatic citizenship. Remember, he was born on a US base. I guess his dad was in the US less than 10 years before he joined the military and before he also got citizenship himself. Now, in all fairness, I think that should have been where the United States of America would show its dignity and its respect for a veteran who honorably served a full career and honorably discharged, and would have granted him citizenship regardless. They had the power to keep Jermaine Thomas in the United States of America, but they got rid of him. They sent him to another country where he had never been a day in his life. Now, we're going to get into that part in a second, so hold on. So, again, although his father was a US citizen, he did not meet the specific requirements of having lived in the US for 10 years before his son was born, making his son ineligible for automatic citizenship. In 2016, the US Supreme Court declined to hear his case, affirming a lower court's ruling that being born on a US military base overseas did not grant automatic citizenship under the 14th Amendment. Now, we might not be able to do anything with this for him because, you know, they've done what they've done to him. But for those of you out there who are serving in the military, because I have a lot of people who are serving in the military who do follow this channel, you're making your families right now. Some of you have been stationed in foreign countries, and it happens. Typically, you end up dating, possibly falling in love with, possibly marrying a foreigner. That foreigner changes things. When your child is born, changes things. Now, your child might be born on a US military base, but I want you to make sure that you are getting things in order, because you yourself are an immigrant who was naturalized and got your citizenship just like Jermaine's father was. However, in 2016, the US Supreme Court declined to hear his case and affirmed a lower court's ruling that being born on a U.S. military base abroad did not automatically grant citizenship under the 14th Amendment. So make sure your children are good before they themselves in the future end up in a position like where this guy is now. So, legal issues and deportation. So after 2025, arrest for misdemeanor, he was arrested. And he was arrested for misdemeanor criminal trespass in Texas. He explained that this misdemeanor criminal trespass in Texas was having to do with him being evicted from his apartment and him going back there to gather the rest of his things, which they had put outside. So he went back on the property to grab his things that they had put outside, and they called the police on him, and the police came while he was gathering his things, and he got hit with a misdemeanor criminal trespass. He was transferred from local custody to Immigration's Customs Enforcement, or ICE. This is when he was super surprised, because he was like, what am I doing at ICE though? I'm an American citizen. So despite having a U.S. Social Security number and living nearly his entire life inside of the U.S., besides the time that he spent going to different military bases with his dad growing up, ICE deemed him a Jamaican citizen based on an old visa form. He was deported to Jamaica, where he has no citizenship, no family, and no social ties at all. Now, my question here is this. If he has no citizenship of Jamaica, no temporary residency, permanent residency, no family, and no social ties, why did they send him to Jamaica? But the bigger question is, why did Jamaica accept him? See, we've had this discussion before where we talked about how the deportation process goes. And the United States of America cannot just pick somebody up and say, we're deporting you to Jamaica, and Jamaica takes you. Go. If that was the case, Jamaica would be filled with deportees from all over the world who had never been there before. So, who in Jamaica's government decided that it was okay to send this person to Jamaica? Given the circumstances that this person was not born on Jamaican soil, this person never been to Jamaica a day in his life, who in the Jamaican government said, yes, send him here? I would love to know who signed off on that. Here's the reason. When you're being deported, right? Say, for instance, you're being deported to a country. Like, take, for instance, the Jamaican man who was deported recently to Eswatini. Having been sent to Eswatini, the U.S. government in news media said that the men that were sent to Eswatini were like the worst of the worst. These men had committed crimes that were so atrocious that not even their own home countries would take them back. Being that it was published publicly, the Jamaican government, like everybody else, saw it in U.S. news media because the nationalities of the individuals who were sent to Eswatini were published also. So, of course, it said one Jamaican, one this, one that. And, of course, the Jamaican diaspora grabbed that one and said, oh, wow, a Jamaican is among them. Who is this Jamaican and what was his crime that was so vicious that Jamaica won't take him back? Because we know Jamaica to be a country that takes back all its people, no matter how atrocious the crimes are they have committed overseas. So based on that, the Jamaican government quickly got to news media and said, we were never notified of this Jamaican. We knew nothing about him. In other words, we don't know what the American government's talking about because they never told us they were they had one of our citizens that they were about to send to Eswatini, we would have had them send him straight home to Jamaica. That left everybody thinking, wow, so the US government is not really following protocol. They're just doing their own thing and saying what they want to say. Because it became a case of they never contacted us. They never told us about him. We knew nothing about him. So therefore, we did not approve of the US sending our citizen to Eswatini. Long story short, fast forward a couple of days ago, that Jamaican who was sent to Eswatini was repatriated back to his country, Jamaica. Jamaican government worked with Eswatini's government to make sure that that Jamaican made it back to Jamaica. I say that to say this. Whenever you are being deported to a country, they must first correspond with each other. The US must first correspond with Jamaica. They must first say, hey, we have a guy here that we are sending back to your country. And then the Jamaican government must first do their research and say, was he born here? Who is he? And once they find a record of your birth in that country, or then they can say, okay, he's one of ours, send him back. But if they have, and that's how they formulate your paperwork to travel. If they cannot do so, then they won't allow you. And I'll give you another example. Here is a case that I covered on this channel where there was a man who they encountered many years ago who entered the United States of America on a plane coming from Jamaica. He made it into the United States of America and he got in trouble and they're trying to deport him and they can't deport him to Jamaica. Why? Because Jamaica has no record of him. Jamaica has no record of him. The US cannot say that he is Jamaican. Maybe he is from Cuba. Maybe he is from Haiti. Maybe he is from the Dominican Republic and he snuck into Jamaica and got a flight from Jamaica into the US. Entering the US on a plane that came from Jamaica does not mean that you are Jamaican. Wrap your mind around that, right? So to this very day, that guy has been in the United States of America. He gets in trouble. He does long prison sentences and he is back out on the streets or living in a facility, but he still has not been deported. So if it is so hard for them to deport that one person, how come it was so easy for them to deport this individual, Jermaine Thomas, to Jamaica with no checks and balances? Now, Jermaine Thomas at this moment is legally stateless. Legally stateless, meaning he belongs nowhere. He belongs to no country. No one claims him. He is not a citizen of Germany, which is the country of his birth. He is not a citizen of the United States of America, which is the base he was born on and the army in which his father served. And he is not a citizen of Jamaica, the country of his father's origin, to which he was deported. Now, as a stateless individual in Jamaica, and this is why I cannot understand why Jamaica took him, Thomas is unable to legally work. He's unable to legally obtain an official identification in Jamaica. He told CNN News in an interview recently that he was living in a homeless shelter in Kingston. Before he was in the homeless shelter, he was actually staying in a hotel, and he did not know who was paying for that hotel. And I told my audience, I said, whoever is paying for that hotel is going to stop paying for the hotel soon, and he's going to end up on the streets if the US does not take him back. Well, he's no longer in that hotel because whoever that was paying pays no more. So, up to date, he recently did an interview with CNN and he told them that he is now living in a homeless shelter in Kingston, and he is running out of his psych medication because he takes psychiatric medication for his schizophrenoactive affective disorder. So not only is this man not Jamaican, he had never been to Jamaica before. This man also suffers from schizophrenia. And now he is running out of his proper medication for his schizophrenia. And he also told them that he is struggling to understand the basic language, because Jamaicans speak patois a lot. And a lot of patois being spoken around you, he's struggling to understand their way of communication, what's being said, etc. So my question for this video is, why? Why did the Jamaican government take back a liability? He is not an asset, he is a liability. This is somebody that's going to need care. The kind of care that most Jamaican citizens who need this kind of care don't get. This man is going to need housing. This man is going to need medical attention for his schizophrenia. That includes medical intervention of medicine plus counseling, therapy. Then this man is going to need room and board, somewhere to live, food to eat, to sustain himself daily. Then this man is going to need gainful employment so he can provide for himself, unless somebody plans on taking him in and having him as a child where they take care of him. So just like I said, whoever had him in that hotel was going to stop paying for it and he would end up homeless. And now we're at the homeless part because he is in a homeless shelter. I'm predicting the next step from here is that he will be wandering the streets of Jamaica and have totally lost his mind. This is wicked. This is completely wicked. Leave your comments in the comment section below. See if you can answer why the Jamaican government did this, took this man in. And if you agree with me that at the very least, the government of the United States of America could have honored a veteran by simply granting his son U.S. citizenship and having him stay in the United States of America on behalf of his father, who served a full career in the U.S. military. I'll catch you on the next video. I will continue to stay close to the Jermaine Thomas story as it develops. Hit that subscribe button. Click the bell next to the subscribe button so you are notified every time an update is uploaded or every time we update or upload a new video to this channel. I'll catch you on the next video. It's SouFLoTV. I'm out. Peace.